And welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. Thanks again for joining us as we continue to bring you some of the day's biggest top stories. We want to talk again about Hurricane Erin, once again picking up steam and intensifying now to a Category 4 hurricane, and that is prompting evacuations out in North Carolina, and it is really picking up some of the wind and waves even in Florida. So that is where we go, and next we find Fox Weather's Steve Bender joining us here with the latest as Hurricane Erin continues to pick up speed.
Yeah, we're watching Erin enter into the warmest water in the entire Atlantic. That's what's allowing it to stay at that Cat 4 strength, even though you have some wind shear that's starting to incorporate. But as you had mentioned, mandatory evacuations, that's for the Outer Banks. You had Hatteras Island that was evacuating today. Out of the latest advisory that just came in at the top of the hour from the National Hurricane Center, they are under a tropical storm watch, which means they anticipate tropical storm force winds in the next 48 hours. So that's likely to be Wednesday and Thursday, and a storm surge watch. So that's why they led to those evacuations, try to get visitors out as quickly as possible. Residents forced to get out by tomorrow as well. What are we seeing here, though? I'm at the First Coast, St. Augustine, Florida. You can see the wind impact with my hair. That's one aspect of this, but notice this. We're at the lifeguard shack here, and you'll notice every few hundred yards that they had the red flag post. That means they got a high hazard. Today, it's that rip current risk. Not only is it just this afternoon, but also again tomorrow and likely Wednesday, that high rip current risk. So something that we're looking at is the overall surf. Very rough out there. And then you look at that undercurrent, which is the rip current pulling people out. Notice the surfers, though, taking advantage of that. I had actually an impromptu surf lesson earlier today. I got out there, and my surf instructor, Ollie, he was saying, look, this is kind of the worst conditions you could be a part of. This is like whitewater rafting, but for surfing. Once you get beyond that, though, you'll notice where all the surfers are at. Those are called green waves. Those are estimated right around 6 to 7 feet, likely to be 7 to 10 for tomorrow. So a great opportunity if you do know what you're doing. You get out into the water and then to enjoy yourself. Something I want to show you here is the coastal management was out earlier. They were there measuring tape, and I was wondering what they were doing. They were measuring this berm, and so this is only about 3 or 4 feet at its height. We went through high tide about a half hour ago, but notice all of this is compacted and wet. That's because that high tide, this slammed up against it, spit over the edge, but didn't make its way completely over the edge. That was the concern. Tomorrow, this risk increases as Erin continues to push north, so we'll be watching that. Also, just the coastal erosion as this happens, because every wave that hits this takes a little more sand and brings it back out. So, again, it's early in the season. I know you were mentioning behind Erin, there's another system, National Hurricane Center, highlighting that as a medium opportunity, 60% chance of development. Right in that same spot with Erin, but you'll notice it's actually a little further to the south. So concerns for the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Bahamas, and all in the southeast as we push deeper into August and into early September. We know this is when the hurricane season really ramps up. You notice the water coming back in. When I was out in it earlier and just got that nice little splash, it's warm. That's what's feeding Erin right now, and will feed every additional system that's coming in right now. So it's kind of inviting to get out there, but know your limit. We talk about the rip current risk. That is something that's going to be felt not only here, all the way in Florida, hundreds of miles away, up in the Carolinas, along the Jersey Shore. It continues to have a massive impact all up and down the East Coast. And again, the core is likely to stay offshore this entire time. So impressive what we have seen out of the first hurricane of the year as a Cat 5 over the weekend, and now still remainder as a Cat 4. So we'll be watching it closely as this evolves not only tonight, tomorrow, and the days ahead here on Fox Weather. Back to you.
Steve, you know, when I was looking at your live shot, I always say, leave it up to the surfers. They always find an opportune time to try to catch some waves, even in the midst of those hurricane winds.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a guy named Chris. He was walking by, said hi, and he said, I hadn't surfed in 15 years. I saw what the waves are going to be like, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to go buy a board. I'm going to get back out there. And like you had said, they're always watching the forecast in a different way than we are. They saw the opportunity. They're taking advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Steve Bender with Fox Weather. Thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate those updates as you continue to stay safe. All right. And you can always check in with more from Fox Weather. Stream Fox Weather at any time, always on, always free. Go to foxweather.tv. We will take another 2-minute break. We'll be back with more